2018 was a rather interesting year all around for gaming. It had some high highs and also some low lows, and personally, it was the first year that I barely touched MMORPGs. And as I start to look ahead now, I notice that something has happened, almost entirely due to the games Dead Cells, Celeste, Wizard of Legend, and Crosscode. These are four charming, incredibly well done and well received pixel art games, which gave me an appreciation for not only the aesthetic, but they were so well polished in a style of game that tends to not be, that when I come across pixel art games now, I don't immediately disregard them until someone tells me they're worth their time because I've seen what they can be. Now on top of this, the Nintendo Switch also helps, as I actively am looking for games for the best system created of all time, and these pixel art games more often than not are finding their way over there. Well, in honor of this shifting of my preference, I've compiled a list of the top 5 pixel art styled games that I'm looking forward to in 2019 and beyond, based on what I've seen, or in some cases, played already. Monster Sanctuary is a game that combines things that don't seem like they would work together, and then when it's shown to you, you're like, man, this looks like it's going to be rad, because this game is a monster taming 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania-styled turn-based combat game with glimpses of a rather in-depth progression system that is supposed to have both a Switch release as well as an online PvP game mode, which is something that I find that I need in these monster taming games. However, this one just completed its Kickstarter campaign a short while ago, so the release may be a little bit further away than the other games here on this list. I have a real soft spot for fantasy-themed tactical RPGs that goes back to the entire Final Fantasy Tactics franchise. Arcadian Atlas wears that specific inspiration on its sleeves shamelessly, which even if it was just a one-to-one clone, I'd be okay with it. I've spent so many hours on FinalFantasyHactics.com jumping through hoops to play user mods of Final Fantasy Tactics in the past because not enough of these games of a decent enough quality are released. Digging into the teasers, learning about the job system, hearing the music, watching the development live streams, the stuff I like about these games are in it, and they're really creating something that's charming, which is then reinforced that a brother-sister combo are the ones making the game. Just everything about Arcadian Atlas kind of puts a smile on my face. So I also have this guilty pleasure in gaming of the whimsical life skill based games. Things like farming or running a business or building relationships with the people in a town. I really can't help myself, and if you combine that with some of the more traditional RPG based stuff and then give it a little bit of polish, I fall real hard for these games. My time at Porsche, Dyland, Ooblets, Re-Legend, I am counting down days for a ton of games that from the outside look awfully similar, but I can't get enough of. Kinseed happens to be one of them, although quite a bit of Kinseed is playable right now, and one of the big draws I could give for this game is that some of the original Fable developers are working on this game, and there are some grade A puns and terrible jokes to be found here, as well as being able to ride a pig like a mount. This next title, Hazelnut Bastille, really feels like it should be sold in a Super Nintendo cartridge. This is another game that has a decent-sized demo, and it brings with it a very high-quality version of the Zelda A Link to the Past style adventuring game, at least from what I've played of it. It comes with that full bag of tools, a very familiar interface that might be a little bit too much of an homage. In fact, most of the game is a little bit too on the nose, but I don't mind. This style of game is timeless. Hazelnut Bastille also has a rather interesting color palette, and out of all of the games here, it hits that nostalgic part of me the hardest. I also want to shoehorn in another game here. I think it's in like really early development, but it's kind of a cute story. The game is called Alesis, and I found out about this game because the username of the developer on Twitter is Fevir, so it's just Fever with an R, and through some misdirected tweets, I found his account and he posts regular updates as he's been developing this game that looks like a Zelda-like, very much like Hazelnut Bastille. I think it's in 8-bit, but it's much faster with a much stronger focus on combat mechanics. Now, I know that having a similar online handle is a dumb reason to play and track progress of a game, but I'm doing it anyway. And the last game included on this list is a bit of a weird one. It's called The Last Night, and I'm going to be completely honest here, I know almost nothing about this game, but I can't wait to, I don't even know if play it is the right word. I want to see the game, because when you watch this trailer, it does things with pixel art that you don't think it should be able to do. Even if all of these are just cutscenes and the gaming graphics just have nothing to do with this, it's still of such a high enough quality without losing the clear distinction that is a pixel that it kind of blows my mind. It just applies tilting and lighting and reflections and all of these other things that I don't think I've seen in other pixel art games, or at least all done at the same time. Like Octopath Traveler kind of played with the idea of pixel art a little bit, and this does the same thing. So this game is on the list because I don't know if it specifically pushes forward pixel art, but it's something that makes you look at pixel art differently. So those are the main pixel art games that I'm looking forward to, but I also wanted to end this and plug a smaller game called Endhall. I've recently been learning to code in Godot, and it just so happens that someone who I've been following their tutorials religiously, he goes by the name of Heartbeast Online, has released his own small-scoped game that he's been using to actually teach with. So this game was actually really cool to play because I saw how he designed it. It's an interesting mix of a turn-based strategy with puzzles and roguelike elements. It has quite a bit of inspiration from Into the Breach, I guess you could say. It has a length of around 1 to 2 hours and just a bunch of features that may actually make it worth a replay or two, but it's only $5 and it's a rather interesting way to spend a night or two, and if you are looking to learn how to code in Godot, it just makes it all the more cool. But with that, we reach the end of the video. Until next time, this is Fevir. Peace.